Hello again, welcome back to the channel. This is the third time I've started recording this, mostly because I decided I wasn't happy with the first recording. In the second recording, I had forgotten to turn on the mic, so it wasn't even recording me. Anyway, I apologize for not getting this out sooner. We had the 4th of July here in the United States, which means that we were busy, to put it mildly. The 4th of July ends up taking over the weekend as well, and so you end up with like parades and fireworks displays and all this sort of stuff going on, and so there's a lot of stuff going on that weekend, and I just didn't get to the recording. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Caves of Ice by Sandy Mitchell. It's a Warhammer 40k novel, and it is also the second novel in the Ciaphas Cain series. Now, I really like Ciaphas Cain. I've read and collected all the books in the series. I hope that Sandy Mitchell keeps releasing them. They're really well written, and they're really entertaining. Now, Caves of Ice, excuse me, Ciaphas Cain is a commissar in the Imperial Army. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the commissar rank, then you're not, or office would be better. If you're unfamiliar, you're not alone. Most of the armies in the world don't have this particular officer. The Nazis in Germany had them. The Soviets in communist Russia had them. China has them. Russia might still have them. I'm not entirely sure. A lot of those countries with communist governments had these particular officers. What they are there to do is to make sure that the soldiers are following not just orders from their superior officers, but also they're not entertaining thoughts and positions that would be seen as seditious. So, for instance, if you were in the Soviet army, but you were strongly in support of, say, a free market society, that would be considered something that you could be killed for. Because that is a seditious thought. So that's what Cain is there to do. Now, Cain is seen as a hero of the Imperium. He has saved soldiers. He has saved the day numerous times. So he's seen as a hero. He calls himself a coward, and he does everything he can to avoid fighting, to avoid battle. And he tries to walk this fine line between doing his job and also keeping the goodwill of the soldiers with whom he is assigned. Because in his position, commissars don't have a very long life expectancy. They tend to be victims of friendly fire incidences and abandonment on the battlefield. Say you're charging into battle, you're expecting all your soldiers to be around you, suddenly you find yourself surrounded only by enemies and your soldiers are somewhere else. Cain doesn't want that to happen, obviously. He has, number one is the most important to him, and he himself being number one. And so what he does is he tries to make sure that, well, his soldiers are doing what they're supposed to do, but at the same time, he tries to make sure that they understand that he's on their side, that he's got their back, so that they will have, in turn, have his back. So they get sent to this ice planet to deal with orcs. Now, the soldiers that he's with are the 597th Valhallan Regiment, and they come from an ice world, so they're looking forward to this, being on an ice planet. And they hate orcs, because orcs invaded their home before, and so they particularly hate orcs. So they get to this planet, they're ready to throw down with the orcs, and Cain is like, oh, well, I want to stay away from the battlefield as much as possible. So he finds out that in dealing with the miners on the planet, so the reason that they're even on this planet is there's a promethium to be extracted from this planet. Promethium being the fuel source for all the vehicles that the Imperial Army and Navy use in everything that they do. So this planet is hugely, hugely important to the Imperium. So they're fighting against the orcs, and Cain is like, well, let's go investigate these disappearing miners, because it could be that maybe the orcs have found a back way into the mine, and that would be incredibly terrible. And so they go start searching through the mines, and they find other things that are going on instead. So they find they're called ambles. They're a particularly nasty little beastie that, while very tasty and is sometimes farmed on other worlds for the meat, they live in packs, and they have been attacking the miners, unbeknownst to them. The thing is that he's called a tech priest. It's interesting. There's so much to unpack when you're going into the Warhammer 40k universe. There is magic, and I say magic, but it's like instead it's hard to explain. People who can access this power, they're called psychers, and that's going way too deep into this. But technology and advancements in technology and things they're almost seen as magic themselves. So instead of having just a tech that goes out and fixes things, you have tech priests. Now these people, they go out and they, while they are fixing something, they're also like lighting incense and saying prayers and all this other stuff, while they're also getting in there with their wrenches and stuff. So you never know entirely whether or not what they're doing is practical or something that's there to kind of boost their image, if you will. So anyway, they have this tech priest with them, and he says that these particular beasts, we don't know how they got here, because they're not native to this planet. They're usually found in dry desert environments. And here we got this one digging through ice on this frozen world. So where did they come from? How did they get here? And they end up finding more than one, because Cain manages to wound one with his laser pistol. And when they encounter another one, he ends up having to take it out with his chainsword. And in inspecting it, they notice that there are no burns from a laser weapon anywhere on the corpse. So they deduce that there's more of these roaming the mines. And so they have to keep delving deeper, because in addition to what they found, they also found an orc skull, which means that these ambles have also been feeding on the orcs. So there is a way to get into the mines through these tunnels, and they have to figure out how to seal them off and all that stuff. In addition, as they go through, they find that there's even another threat that's even worse than the orcs or these ambles that are digging through the ice. I don't want to go into too much detail as to what this other threat is, but this other threat, if you know anything about Ciaphas Cain, it cost him 2 of his fingers. Anyway, yeah, Ciaphas Cain, you see in the picture there, he does have all 10 fingers, but actually 2 of those fingers are mechanical fingers. Anyway, Ciaphas Cain, as always, he is a slippery character. He is doing his best to make sure that he is away from danger at all points in time, but at the same time recognizing that when he is in danger, he cannot run from it. He has to maintain that appearance that he is. He's got the back of the ordinary soldier, so that once again that they will have his back. Now again, Ciaphas Cain novels are often compared favorably to the Flashman novels by George MacDonald Fraser. Those are he's the author of the Flashman Papers series. There was a brief interruption there, so it seems I jerked. That's because I had to pause the video and then come back while I was in the middle of a thought. Anyway, I highly recommend the Ciaphas Cain series. I love it. I am, as I said before, I'm hoping that Sandy Mitchell comes out with more Ciaphas Cain novels. They are well written, entertaining. Ciaphas Cain, far from being, I mean, he says it over and over that he's a coward and that he's always out for number one. But even though he says that, he doesn't come off as a jerk, as a reprehensible character. He does come off as being heroic, as being someone who is interested in the welfare of others around him. Now, he puts that on, he puts a selfish spin on it, saying things like the reason that he is interested in the welfare of others around him is because by being interested in their welfare, they protect his welfare. So the thing is that everybody is that way. This is just Ciaphas Cain humanizing himself and putting himself in a position where he's relatable to everyone else. If you were sitting in that particular situation where around every corner something could jump out to kill you, you would want to be surrounded by people who could protect you, and he does that. He surrounds himself with people who are reliable and can protect him, and also he watches their back to make sure that they will watch his back. So while he says it in a selfish way, you see that he is actually more noble and more worthy of praise than he himself thinks that he is. On the other hand, if I have read, and I don't remember if I reviewed the first Flashman novel, but I have read the first Flashman novel. I went out because of all the times I'd heard about how much Ciaphas Cain resembles those novels. I went out and tracked down the first novel, read it. Don't read them. They're trash. They're horrible. Horrible. If I haven't already reviewed that, that's one I need to go back and review. But where Ciaphas Cain is an ennobled character, I don't know if ennobled is the right word, but where Ciaphas Cain is a sympathetic character, where he has noble goals and values, features, things that make you root for him and want him to do well. Flashman does not have those virtues. He is completely devoid of virtue. You want him to die all the time, but things keep happening. I was hoping that the Flashman papers were going to be very similar to Ciaphas Cain, because there are a very limited number. I say there's a limited number, but there's maybe 12 Ciaphas Cain novels, and I would like there to be 20, 40, as many as I can get. Now, with the addition of the Flashman novels, I was thinking, oh, here's another entertaining series. I'll like it because it's similar to Ciaphas Cain. It is not. It is not similar at all. Anyway, that's it for today. Let me know if you've read any of the Ciaphas Cain novels. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, put the bell on so you get those notifications. And next week, I will get this out on Tuesday. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.